Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're talking about managing diabetes, and we're going to break it down to something really practical: the food you eat. We'll be looking at smart, simple choices you can make, all based on what the experts say.
So, getting a diabetes diagnosis, it can be a real shock, right? It just opens up this flood of questions. Probably the biggest one is just, okay, what now? It can feel super overwhelming. But what if I told you the power to really take charge was already sitting right there on your plate? Let's get into it. Yeah, that's really what this is all about. Turning that feeling of anxiety into action. And we're going to focus on what is truly your most powerful tool in this fight: the food you put on your plate every single day. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about why your plate matters so much. You got to understand the stakes, because once you get that, you can really grab the opportunity to take control. Just to put this in perspective, in Vietnam alone, we're talking about nearly 5 million people living with diabetes. That's a huge number. It's a massive health challenge. And, as we're about to see, the complications can be really serious if it's not managed.
Look, if you don't get a handle on it, diabetes can lead to some really severe problems. Things like stroke, kidney disease, wounds that just won't heal, and even nerve damage. And that's why it's so important to remember this. Managing diabetes isn't just about a number on a glucose meter. It's about protecting your entire body for the long haul. All right, so where do we even begin? Well, I've got good news. We're not going to start with a big list of things you have to cut out. No, instead, let's focus on all the powerful, delicious foods you should be adding to your diet. Let's build up, not tear down. Okay, think of these 4 groups as like the cornerstones of your new eating plan. You've got green veggies, which are just packed with nutrients, lean proteins to keep you full without messing with your sugar levels. Then you have good fats, so important for your heart. And finally, complex carbs, which give you that nice, steady, slow-release energy. But let's zoom in a little closer now, because it turns out some specific foods are like superstars. They offer these unique, scientifically backed benefits that are perfect for managing diabetes. Get this. Eggs, for example. The experts over at Vinmec Hospital call them a protein powerhouse. And here's why that's cool. They don't just give you energy. They actively go to work inside your body to improve some really key health markers, the exact ones that are so critical when you have diabetes. And this is what I'm talking about. A diet for diabetes doesn't have to be about bland, boring restrictions. It's all about making smart, flavorful additions. A little sprinkle of cinnamon here, some chia seeds in your yogurt there, maybe having fish a couple times a week. All these little things can add up to make a huge difference. All right, so we've talked all about the good stuff to add. Now we do have to flip the coin and look at the other side of the plate. Let's talk about the foods you want to limit to help keep your blood sugar nice and stable. Okay, one of the biggest game changers is really understanding the difference between carbs. Think of refined carbs, like white bread or white rice, as quick-burning fuel. They're processed, stripped of a lot of good stuff, and they cause a fast spike in your blood sugar. The goal is to swap those out for complex carbs. These are the slow-burning logs for your fire. They have more fiber and give you a much more stable, sustained energy. So here's the lineup of things that can really send your blood sugar on a roller coaster. Sugary drinks are probably the #1 offender. Then you've got your processed and fried foods, unhealthy fats, and here's one that surprises people: dried fruit. It's basically concentrated sugar. So yeah, limiting these guys is absolutely key to staying in control.
All right, so we've covered the ingredients. But managing diabetes is about more than just your shopping list. It's not only what you eat, but also how you eat it, and maybe most importantly, how much.
So here's a practical tip from health guidelines. For your main meals, try aiming for somewhere around 45 to 60 grams of carbs. Now look, this isn't some super rigid rule that fits everybody, but it's a fantastic starting point to help keep those blood sugar spikes in check. And what about snacks? Well, the target is even smaller. We're talking just 15 to 30 grams of carbs. That's just enough to give you a little energy boost without throwing everything off balance. Like a small apple or a few whole grain crackers. Okay, let's talk about sweeteners, because this can be confusing. It's really important to know there's a difference. You have artificial sweeteners like stevia or Splenda, which generally won't affect your blood sugar at all. But then there are sugar alcohols. You find them in a lot of sugar-free stuff like gum or candy, and these guys actually can raise your blood sugar a little bit. So something to watch out for. All right, enough with the theory. Theory is great, but how does all this actually work in the real world, in your kitchen? Let's get practical and put this knowledge to work. Let's see how you can tweak your favorite meals.
And here's the best part. You do not have to give up the food you love. Take a classic like pho. You can make it totally diabetic-friendly with just a few simple swaps. Use brown rice noodles instead of white ones, load it up with tons of extra veggies, and go for a leaner protein like chicken instead of a fatty beef. Boom. You get all that amazing flavor, but in a way that's so much better for your blood sugar.
Now, I know that beyond just food, a lot of people look into dietary supplements for extra support, and it's a huge market. For instance, a study in Ho Chi Minh City found that over 70% of the diabetic supplements being sold there are actually produced right in the country.
And you can see from this chart, some brands are definitely more popular than others. But listen, this is the most important thing I'm going to say about this. Supplements are there to support your healthy diet and your doctor's plan. They are not a replacement. I'll say it again. They are not a replacement. You should always, always talk to your doctor before you start taking anything new.
So there you have it. We've gone through the why, the what, and the how of eating with diabetes. From building a better plate to making those simple, smart swaps, the power, it really is in your hands. So I'll leave you with this one question. Knowing what you know now, what's one small change you're going to make at your very next meal?